Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This would be Friday morning, the 28th, I think. Yes, the 28th of September, 2018. And I'm your intrepid host for this morning, this afternoon, this evening, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, my Indian name, shamanic name. So I greet you with blessings, honor, peace to all of you. And I mean that from my soul heart and from my heart soul, from me to all of you. And so I did an earlier video today, and I realized that, boy, that was, from my point of view, that was a toughie, having to do with faith, the different types of faith that we have, and um, how we look at life in different ways. And it's like, well, if you have faith in one particular thing, then you have kind of sort of made a choice. All right. So this video is about the prison of choices. Okay. We are prisoners of the choices that we make in this life. And I have spent, I spent an entire year in a maximum security lockup for possession of drugs, like I was a killer or something, but I was facing 20 years. And when you're behind bars, chained, frog walked, your ankles chained, your hands tied, chained together and everything, and you're in a lineup with a bunch of other people, you have a tendency to look at your life a lot differently. Like, what in the hell got me here? What were the choices that I made that the end result is or was that I was a prisoner? Well, in this particular case, a year. I was facing 20 years with the evidence and so forth that they had on us. And so it's like, Now, there are those who said that, Mr. Dave, you must have turned a dime on somebody, meaning that I turned somebody in. I took a dime. Of course, back then, a phone call was a dime. So that's where the frame to drop a dime on somebody is that you took a dime and you went to a phone booth and you called the police and you gave them a tip. That was dropping a dime on somebody. And if you were a prisoner and something happened and you were a snitch, it always came out that you dropped a dime on somebody. Okay, so with that. Now, if you haven't done anything wrong in your life and you haven't been sent to prison, well, then this is something that I'm going to try to describe to you without going into any kind of gory detail about prison. But when every single move that you make, you can't pee, there's nothing that you can do that somebody isn't watching you. There is never a single moment of privacy, ever, from anyone. You can turn your back, minor little piece of, but if you got to take, you got to go to the bathroom, then you have to do it in front of people. There is no stall. You'll be lucky if you get toilet paper. Now, folks in this life, and when I was talking earlier, the video that I made today about faith, we make choices in our life that either give us faith or maybe it will take faith away. We go and listen to someone, you tune into my video and say, well, okay, Dave gave me a different point of view tonight. And it's not that I'm trying to give you faith or take away your faith. I'm trying to explain, I'm trying to show there are different types of faith that we have. They're intertwined. Do we understand what faith means? What does faith mean to me? Now, I'm not going to sit here and I'm the last person to ever question anyone else's faith. I simply focus on my own and what I know is to be true. So while I was in my prison and maximum security lockup, I mean, there was no go outside in the yard for an hour kind of deal. For a year, I was locked away. All right. The only time I got a chance to go outside was to go out on the back dock and dump some really smelly butt garbage. That was it. I got to go to the loading dock, and that was in the middle of the night. Never did I see daylight. Never did I have sunshine unless they were taking me to court. Now, I stay, this isn't, oh, woe is me. No. When I got out of prison is when I realized how precious life is. And that when we make wrong choices, you end up in the hoosegow for a year or 20, as I was facing. And that, holy crap, now what? Well, I was smart enough to try to keep my ass out. Now, there was an instant later on in my life that, what the hell, it's been 25 years. I had some weed growing in my backyard. Helicopters came over, saw it, arrested me, and they took me off to jail. They were going to throw away the key, and they ended up noting that it was really bad weed, and they went to a lot of trouble. The governor was really pissed off that they spent all that money from the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, on an old hippie with epilepsy, and that they refused to put me into the prison system because of my epilepsy. And so they threw me out of the prison system with a large fine and probation and blah, blah, blah. I served all that, never got in any other trouble. Well, it wasn't like I was out on the street selling drugs. They flew over with a helicopter, hovered over my yard, and found it. So, but anyway, prison. It was a bad choice. Will I grow it outside again? No. You know, do the helicopters still fly over my house? Yeah. And some of them are black helicopters too, I might add. But that's another story. Why this discussion about the prison of choices? Well, if you have a choice to believe in a particular thing, that can lock you into a prison. Your belief system is a prison of sorts. So when I try to have conversation with folks, now I was raised Christian, I was raised a Catholic, I was an altar boy, yeah, pedophile, the whole deal, yeah. I've spoke about that. I was an altar boy until like 1971 after I graduated high school, kind of thing. I graduated in 1970 from Tampa Catholic. And so, and when the church turned around and faced the audience and moved away from so much Latin into the English version in the late 60s, I started reading the gospel as a commentator, or as some folks would say, as a deacon or assistant pastor. Anyway, I wasn't a pastor of anything, but I did read the gospels, and I read passages from the Bible as part of the Mass. Now, I would do this almost every Sunday. There's very seldom did I ever miss a Sunday, because they were always needing an altar boy or a commentator or something. And there were times when I would go to 6:30 Mass, and I would stay as either an altar boy and or a commentator for the Masses, because a lot of times back in those days they were missing an altar boy, and I'd fill in. Okay, my point to this is that yes, I have a large Christian background, but then I went and studied Buddhism at the request of my Dominican nun sister Helene, from a teacher of mine from Tampa Catholic. And in so doing, and she told me back in 1970, Jesus, when he disappeared and nobody knew where he went to study Buddhism. He went to what would have been known then as the Far East. From Europe, it's the Far East. When you're in California, it's the Far West. I digress. So anyway, so with that, I've learned different religious beliefs. And as I've spoke about before, we all have a core belief, and that is we wish peace, honor, and love to each other. That's a core belief. And folks get tied up in a religion or in ceremony sometimes. Now, I have a good friend of mine, and there were times, and there are times when, and I'll make this clear in a second. She told me one time, she said, Dave, why are you going through all of this with Native Americans and the powwows and the ceremonies and all of the things why are you going through all this? And I said, because there's learning in this. And she's like, well, why don't you just sit down and close your eyes and pray? Can't you get there from here? And I was like, yeah, but. And so there are a lot of people who are like, well, wait a minute, there is something to a ceremony. Now, I must admit, after many years and of soul searching, now what happened was I got very sick and I couldn't do anything. I mean, I was locked in a chair for almost a year, not able to do anything, climb the stairs, drive myself. I mean, bad shape. That was another prison. Now, that was a prison of the spirit, if you will, because what it made me realize is that I didn't have to go outside, build a fire, and have a traditional ceremony in order to talk to Creator. A shortcut. Now, to my friend's benefit and behalf, or to her knowledge, yes, it is true. I can reach Creator. I have a constant source energy all the time, especially when I believe it. When I understand that that energy is always there for all of us, not just for me, but for all of us, that we can draw upon this cosmic energy at all times for our benefit, for our healing, for our understanding, for knowledge, truth, whatever. It's there, especially when we open up. But the problem has been, for many people, it's that our society has placed us in a prison of choices. We have so many choices now. It's hard for one to stand back. Where do I go? Which one do I pick here? If I choose this thing to believe, have faith in, understanding, or spend time on, am I wasting my time on this? Is that choice? We're all prisoners. We're prisoners of our own choices. We're prisoners of our own thought. Well, I don't know. I think this is the best thing to do, and you convince yourself into it, even though you might have an upset stomach over the decision you've made. Well, but for whatever reason, we'll go along with things, even though it makes us, we don't feel right about stuff. We will do a job or cover for some, whatever it is. There's things in life and the choices we make, whether to like be a snitch, which I'll never do. I mean, I went to prison and because I refused to be a snitch. I'm guilty. I pled guilty. You got your evidence. Put it on me. But if you want me to speak about somebody else so they can go to jail too, that's their decision. I ain't talking about them. Ask me a question, I'll tell you what I think you ought to know, which is exactly what I did. I took the blame for the whole affair when I got busted down in Florida. And so it's like, but they did the same thing to my partner when we got out and discussed it later on, a few years later. Of course, that's what they do in the cop movies and all that stuff. Good cop, bad cop. Oh, well, your friend's turning a dime on you. It's like, well, he can't turn a dime on me because I'm taking the blame. He wasn't involved. I was the one that purchased them. I was the money carrier, blah, 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 which was true. Even though he was my accomplice and my partner, I was the one that actually did the deal. So why should I say that he did it when it was me? He was the driver. That was the truth. So I told the truth. But would I try to implicate him in it? No. I was like, well, I'm the guy, So because I was already caught, why would I want to drag somebody in with me? That's like really bad energy, and that was in 1978. I got my rude awakening. But now I realize that, and I have discussed it in many ways, that I have been a prisoner of choices myself. And I'm not going to go into any detail about any of them or some of them, maybe, but to the point is that I've made some really crummy mistakes. Should I have been in a position to get arrested and spend a year in jail? No. Bad choices. I was a prisoner to what I was involved in. At the time, I saw no way out of my situation. So the choices I made kept getting consecutively worse till I was taken out and put into the system for a year. Maximum security will change your point of view on a lot of stuff, I'm here to tell you. And a lot of people think, oh, the world is so tough. I don't have any rights. I don't have any free speech. Wait till you really don't have any. you will come out of it. My thing when I got to jail was never again. I'm gonna, nuh-uh, I ain't going back in that place. And the reason I ain't going back in because I'm gonna do my best to not do anything to put me back in there. Now, over the years, I have done a few things that being drunk, stupid, and drug addicted, which I'm not any longer. But to the point though, it's like those were bad choices. Now, what about, and I say, what about you, the collective you? What choices do you make every day? Do you make choices? Well, I'm going to the gym, but you're still drinking out of plastic bottles. You're still inhaling toxic chemicals and things that are going into your body and staying there. And so, people are making this choice. Well, I heard this was right. Well, olive oil is good for you. Well, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the thing. A lot of stuff is bad for you, especially when you overindulge. How many people are talking about, well, I overindulged in water today. I drank 2 gallons of water to flush my system out. Wrong, bad. No, what? Okay. Well, I did this. Well, anything in excess. Well, I'm doing all these things because it's making me healthy. But is it? I mean, I've discussed about my left knee, broken severely in 1967 in a football game with Tampa Catholic High School and Temple Heights Christian School there at King. It was about this time of year is the reason I bring this up, but at King High School there in Tampa. Okay. Busted my leg. I saw my foot fly past my helmet, and that's not a lie. So I went through years and years of pain, not being able to walk, not being able to bend my leg. At the age of 66, I can bend my leg better now than since 1967. Now, I attribute that to cosmic healing because I don't know what else it's done. But I have discussed this in other videos, but I've stopped doing the plastic thing and I've changed my lifestyle. No, am I eating the best that I can? No, but I'm trying. But I know the things that I've stopped doing because I realized I was a prisoner of choices. You're giving me 1,000 choices. Okay, I just want one good cup of coffee at a fairly decent price. Okay, the poor folk that have to pick the coffee beans, and okay, give them a raise. I'll pay another $1 for the coffee. All right, as long as you guys ain't skimming off the top. But how do we know? But to the point though, there's 50 different coffees. Now there's flavored coffees. So there's oven roast and toasted roast and butt roast and who knows what kind of roast. All right. Choices. That's just coffee. Oh, now there's natural sugar. What? You mean sugar isn't natural? Hang on. Wait a minute. White sugar is not natural sugar anymore. Well, wait a minute. I thought that sugar came from cane syrup and sugar beets and hey, what? How is sugar from sugar beets not natural sugar anymore, or from sugar cane? What? Okay, all right, okay, all right. So everything's not healthy, but everything is healthy. Oh, GMO is bad, which I suggest it is. But eating GMO is better than starving to death. Okay, so I have to eat some GMO foods because I don't wish to starve. Okay, because my monetary situation doesn't allow me to buy all the nice organic stuff or be able to keep my garden in such a way that I can continue to eat that way. Do I wish to? Yeah. But do I have to buy a couple of cans of beans or whatever? Yeah. Is it GMO stuff? Yeah, probably. Is it processed? Yeah, okay. So I'm a prisoner in that. But I make the choices to how much I eat of it. I'll eat a little of this and a little of that. I supplement my diet now where I used to just gorge on everything GMO. So physically, in a lot of ways, I do feel better. I'm off a lot of my pain meds. I've said that before. So, but to the point though, I'm not taking any kind of magic pills. I'm just accepting the healing of the universe. Period. That's all I'm doing. I'm staying in my hope and thoughts is I'm staying in prayer for other people. I wish other people to understand these things. I wish other people to find their core spirit and act upon it, look at their life. So, because we all have got to change our frequencies, and to also, you know, go like this. Wake up in there. Yoo-hoo. Are you being a prisoner of choices? Every day, do I want to go in the left lane, or am I going to get caught in traffic? Do I get off at this exit, or do I go on down one more, or is the traffic worse? We're making choices every single breath we take. As I get a hiccup in the middle of that, even though I'm not consciously thinking of breathing, although that's part of meditation, so we can also control our breathing when we wish to take power over our own bodies and say, okay, I'm going to regulate my breathing. I'm going to regulate my thought. I'm going to regulate blah, blah, blah. Okay. I've talked about it. I'll talk about it again. I'm sure about doing more meditation and what good it does for the heart, the soul, the entire spirit. Now, with that said, though, I can't make the decision for you, but I can bring up, are you a prisoner of choices? I can bring the topic up and ask you, look at your own life. I'm not judging you. And I'm not saying, you might be perfectly fine with what you're doing because that's your life choice. And that's the way things are for you. And I'm not saying, okay, you're wrong. Okay. You have to drink out of a plastic bottle because that's it. Okay, fine. There are things that we get stuck in. But at the same point, if you feel you don't have a choice, you're a prisoner. If you feel like, well, I would like to not drink out of a plastic container or whatever it is, okay, and you can't find a solution, then you've become a prisoner of that. For an example, now I can only use my own experience, but I'm from the South. I was born in Ohio, but I grew up in the South. Iced tea. Okay, sweet iced tea, all right, with sugar floating on top of the tea, all right? That's how I grew up. And so when I went to jail, number one, no sweet tea. And if it was sweetened with sweetener that was just so yucky you wanted to puke. The second thing was everything was lukewarm. Everything was room temperature. Nothing had ice in it. If you wanted something cold to drink, then you waited for wintertime and prayed they didn't turn the heaters up. Okay. I mean, it was horrible. And I vowed then I would never be a slave to ice. So people now, I'll put ice in a drink. I love Barg's root beer with the right amount of ice. It's just like the bomb. But to the point though, as far as now, I'm not saying I don't like things that are cold. Not my point. Yeah, okay, I got stuff in the fridge, but I don't put ice in it. I'm just not a slave to the ice any longer. If something gets lukewarm or it gets to room temperature, I'm fine with it. People say, what? You're drinking lukewarm coffee? It's not even cold? And I'm like, no, because I'm used to this. Okay. But I'm not a slave to that anymore. So if the electricity goes out and my refrigerator, I got to keep shut for other reasons, to keep stuff cold. I'm not in and out of it all the time because I got to have something cold. I'm not in and out of the freezer because I got to have ice. I'm not worried about water to fill the ice. It's not part of my style. I chose to just not worry about it. And so for a lot of people, you don't have ice. Folks that visited me a couple of years ago literally were like freaking out. And I was like, but it's just ice. It's cold. You just took it out of the freezer. You put your drink in there for 20 minutes. It's almost so frozen you can't squish the container. But you want to slush it out of there and pour more ice in on top of it. Folks are so bizarrely affected by the smallest of things. And these people were, I don't mean this badly, but they were homeless. And I was like, they spent more money on ice than they did for other items. And I was like, what? You guys are homeless. I know, but I got to have my ice. And it was like, they were a slave to this. And okay, They lost their home. They had ice makers. They could go to the refrigerator and chunka anytime they wanted to. But when they lost all of that, they couldn't give up their fetish or whatever it was. I mean, it was ridiculously weird about ice, but they were prisoners to it. Now, I haven't heard from them in several years now, and it's a shame. But I pissed off the guy's wife, and I was like, hey, fill up an ice tray and stick it in the freezer. You don't have to go buy ice. I have a freezer. She got very upset about that because store-bought ice was the best. Okay. And I literally haven't seen him since. Pissed her off. And of course, he wouldn't come back because of his, anyway. You know how that spousal thing can go. But to the point of some of this, it's like, all right, so they made their choice to be slaves to ice. Even though they were homeless, no money, still a slave. What are we a slave to? I know I've talked about cell phones. Our choice, leave it on all the time. Well, something important might happen. Yeah, well, it might. But is it so important that you can't turn it off while you're sleeping and you can turn it back on when you wake up or something? I mean, no, folks are a slave to it. They're a slave to the choice. They've made the choice, I got the hiccups for some reason. Let me have a drink of coffee. Excuse me for a second, kind folks. They've made a choice to be a slave to that particular thing. Okay, we can discuss the 5G and what the radio waves are doing. All that information's out there. I've discussed it. A lot of people are discussing it. Is anybody paying attention to it? How many people are turning off their phones? Just for a few hours a day. How many people go and turn off their routers in their house or whatever, their Wi-Fi unit, for a couple hours a day? How many people do certain just basic things because they are a prisoner of the choices they've made? Well, it's okay. My router's over there, and okay, sometimes I fall asleep and I don't unplug it. And then sometimes I just go over in the middle of the day, even though I want to listen to a program, and I unplug the thing. Why? Because I refuse to be a prisoner to it. And there's sometimes maybe my guardian angel is wishing to share some knowledge with me, but I've got all this noise and and I mean electronic noise, not just physical like music or radio or whatever kind of noise, but the electronic noise in the air. And so it's easy for me to shut my stuff down. I go unplug it, Other people are like, why would you want to do that? Well, number one, the thing will reboot. It'll last longer, even though it's got some kind of insurance. But to the point, unplugging stuff every once in a while is just good for you. It's good in the house. It's good for you. You use less electricity. I get pissed off when I have to pay more than $50 a month for my electricity. Problem is, they doubled because I use less electricity. I pay more than the person who uses more. Yeah, that's convoluted, ain't it? But now $50 is what used to cost me $30 a few years ago. Okay, fine. But to the point, why should I have something on if I'm not really using it? It's dumb. And I understand, okay, I got switches. I can go unplug the damn thing on purpose because I refuse to be a prisoner of this all the time. I want the choice. I want the choice. Okay, so other people, what do you choose? Do you choose to unplug your devices at all? Do you choose to not take your phone to town sometime? Do you choose to try the Light Fantastic? I mean, I've talked with this to several of my folks in my age range, if you will. And I've said, remember the day when, you worked 35 miles one way, never had a cell phone, had flat tires in the middle of the morning, night, or whatever. A friend of mine was a nurse. And, bad old country road that she had to travel. And she was like, people stopped and helped me all the time. I never had to wait long. The time my car broke down and this, I had people tow me back to Moultrie. And remember that? And none of us had a cell phone. We made it. We lived. Oh my God. And now I love my friend. I'm not mentioning names, but if she watches this, I love you. But to the point though, her cell phone's on all the time. And certain things, well, like it's okay. Well, I don't really see the point in it, but that's the choice the people make. Even though that it may be harmful, even though it might be really affecting their brain waves, even though in their pocket or in their bra or whatever some of these ladies are wearing it, and they're wondering why they're getting breast cancer when they put this cell phone right next to their breast, it's going to create a tumor. That's the choice they make. Did they need to have the phone? Whatever that was it important for right now? Everything is so immediately. But see, that's the prison we've been put in by our society. They have given us so many choices. We're prisoners of the choices. Well, but it's nice to have 5 different kinds of hamburgers, but I got to stand in line for 10 minutes trying to figure out which one. Why not just a hamburger with cheese, lettuce, tomato, hold the lettuce, hold the mayo, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But now there's a bacon. Now you got one with this, and this one's got something else in it. And this one's a Swiss bacon broiled in this. Okay, fine. It's really nice to have choices. Don't get me wrong. But there are so many choices on a daily basis. What used to be just a few are now 50, 100, 200, lots of choices. You get on YouTube or whatever, the ads pop up, and there are things popping in and out of our eyes all the time. Our brain is making choices whether or not to read that little video that popped up, and then you got to go click on it, turn it off. These are choices, yeah, but it's distracting you. It's taking away from other things. It's not what you really wanted. Oh, the damn ad, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hit the thing. Distractions. These are the choices they put in front of us. Well, I could sit and listen to a 5-minute ad for a 2-minute long YouTube video, which, by the way, just is stupid. But, okay, all right. Don't they know, these people who, by the way, who put these 5-minute YouTube ads on their YouTube videos, that everybody loses interest past the first 45 seconds? Anybody in advertising can tell you that. That's why the screen blips like this all the time. They're flashing the images into your brain. So people who stand there and talk for 5 minutes, they're like, why don't you do 5 1-minute videos? That's another story, another video. But to the point is that there are tossing, throwing, jamming so many choices at us. We have to deal with them. If you don't have all these things every day, then your choices are fewer. I put premium gas in my truck. I make sure my tires are up. I keep her gas and oiled. I'd make sure my vehicle, I love my vehicle. I'm a careful driver, and I drive back and forth to work. I listen to positive music. I listen to stories. I do a little meditation on the long drive home versus, oh my God, I've always got this or yada, yada. I'm worried about whether or not I got $2 worth of gas. I should have got 5. The choices we make. Well, I choose to, get rid of some of these distractions. That's a choice. Can you do it? I challenge you to look in your own life. Look at some of the choices you make on a daily basis. And this isn't about whether or not it's right or wrong, okay? But it is about, are you a prisoner of choices? Do you have to make up your mind, oh, I wanted this. Now, a friend of mine always gets on to me because when we go to IHOP, I love the steak omelet thingy with the stuff in the thingy. I'm sorry, it's the flavor. And there's nothing else on the menu that gives me the flavor that my mouth craves. And once every 2 or 3 months when I go to IHOP, by golly, that's what I want. Now, could I change up? Absolutely. But the thing is the reason I go there is for that delicious combination of food. I don't need these other choices. The other choices are fine, and I'll get a to-go box. Ooh, that looks tasty. Yum, yum, yum. But I go to certain places because of a particular thing. Now, again, if they took away that lovely steak omelet, I'd pick something else. But to the point, it's there. I'm going to get it. Am I a slave to choices? No, because I really like that one. That's my choice. Now, some could say I'm a slave to that one particular choice. But if I went out to IHOP once or twice a week, I would get tired of that. But when I go once every 2 months, I that's what I want. But so I make the choice. All right. There's a little bit of uh, irony in this, if you will. I'll go plug it into the wall and I'll iron with you here. But at the same time, when I go into a restaurant and sit down and look at things, I think to myself, there's 40 things on the menu. What really do I want? Well, that's got greasy and this has got that. We're flooded with choices. Now, some would say that's really a good thing. And it is. But are we being confused? Are we being sidelined? Are we being sidetracked because what the things we could be thinking about, we're constantly having to make decisions. We have to make a choice. Now, they're all small, but to the point, though, they're all distractions. And if you go, well, I don't know, kids, what are we going to have for supper tonight? Blah, blah, blah. You can spend 30 minutes discussing that. Well, and I've had some really good discussions about lunch, what we're having for dinner. But my point is that 30 minutes went by. And a lot of times it's like, well, what do you want? I don't know. I want a hot dog. Well, can I want French fries? Da-da-da. You end up with not really an answer at all. So all the people trying to make the decision of choices, what choices do we wish, versus, hey, y'all, let's have a big pot of stew, where there's all kinds of stuff in it. Pick out the carrots if you don't like them. Tough. But to the point, though, when you have so many choices, I know, I've just watched people. It's one of the things I love to do. I just like to observe. And I've noticed that people are just spend a lot of their freaking time making choices on dumb stuff. And I think to myself, well, after they buy something and, oh, well, I should have got that frappe with the cherry on thing. They got a special on it. Oh, I'll come back tomorrow and get that. I mean, it's like, duh, get what you want, have it, and then think about the other things. They're still in the choice mode. They spend all their time in this, I'm making choices. But the choices they're making have nothing to do with anything. It's not real. I'm making a choice about what coffee to buy tomorrow. Or I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make the choice to buy this dress. Or I'm going to get, okay. But people spend so much time on making the choices, discussing the choices. What choices should we make? Well, wait a minute. There aren't enough choices. It's like how many genders are there? Well, it used to be boys, girls, and other. Okay, and you were a gay person or homosexual or you were straight, but you still have the appendage or not of a particular type of genetically biological person. Male got a thing, females don't got a thing. Period. Now there's 31 different flavors of who you can be. You can be a transgender, gay, lesbian, whatever. And it's like, this is stupid. It's not that you shouldn't practice, and as long as it's, doesn't harm anyone, or at least between two consenting adults. But what? So nobody knows what gender they are anymore, especially these young kids. Well, I'm gender fluid. Hang on, look down. I'm just saying. Now you can pretend to be something else. You can literally feel another way. That's fine. I have a lot of gay friends and I accept, but they're not playing games with it. They're just gay. They are that way, and that's it. They're not playing fruity games and ooh and this and ah and blah. They're not trying to pick 25 different categories and which am I? I'm gay. Okay, I'm a lesbian. I'm a homosexual. Okay, fine. Good. I support you. But the choices now for folks are 31 different flavors of choose what kind of gender reality you want. Seriously? And this is where we are. Just be who you are. Be true to yourself. If you're a man and you have tendencies for other men, then okay. Don't be a slob about it. Be upfront. Find another man who feels the same way. Fine. But when you start being a pervert of any kind, and some of the perverts, I'm here to tell you, well, I won't go into it. Just creepy. But they're creepy anyway. It's their personality because of choices they made and choices that were put upon them. And now, because that all these different people have all these different feelings, now we have to have the choices. Can't we just pick other? Boy, girl, other. Okay. Do we need to have 31 different flavors of description? That's part of this issue I'm talking about. We have too many choices. They're forcing the choices upon us and making prisoners of us in the meantime, because now we have to choose. And if you don't choose the right way, you're a prisoner of society. You're a prisoner of your opinion. I mean, there's going to be folk who might listen to this and say, he's down on gay people. I'm not. I'm down on 31 flavors. That's what I think is stupid. Just be who you are. That's all. But no, society is deeming that we must have these categories to choose from, that we must make a choice. We must make a decision. And sometimes it's an abstract decision, like transgender, lesbian. What? If you're a guy that likes to dress up in women's clothes, fine. Do you have to have a name for it? Do you got to wear a name tag? Just do it. Okay, be who you are. Fine with me. You know, some of the prettiest women I've seen were men. Just saying. You got to have a talent for it. But at the same time, the so many choices have imprisoned our minds. It's imprisoned our point of view. It's imprisoned society. The kids growing up these days, their parents think, well, gender fluidity. Why don't you just tell the kid, hey, you were born a boy, but now how do you feel? And if you are attracted to another guy, well, okay, wait till you grow up. I've talked about this with family members and relatives and such about being gay. And my answer has always been this: if you're before you're the age of 18, even after actually, but if you're before the age of 18 and you think you are positively gay, I say wait till you're 18. Then make up your mind to say, okay, I'm gay. Now, there are some folks at the age of 7, they're gay. Guys, girls, just the way they act. There ain't nothing about society. They are what they are. And I know this because I've seen it in relatives and watched them grow up. Sure up, they were either lesbian or gay, however you want to put it. I don't have a problem with it. It's that other people tried to put names upon them. That's when I got upset. That's why I was leave them alone. Just let them be who they are. All right. They don't require a name. Their name is, Umpty Scrunch. All right. Your name's Wayne. All right. Not my gay sister, brother, half thing, blah, 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 on the other side. No, your name, you're a person. Okay. You're related to me in some way. Okay, fine. But you're still a person. And I'm looking at you as a person. I don't care. Hey, I did theater. I wore makeup all the time. I went out in public with makeup on times just to see what folks would do now. And yes, I dressed up as a woman at one time. And me and my friend of mine, who's been dead for many years, who I miss and still love, we went out about town dressed in drag just to see who we could piss off, tick off, and get a laugh out of. Was there any kind of weirdness in it? No. Did we have a good time? Thumbs up. We did it as a gag. Now people say, oh my goodness, Mr. Dave dressed up in drag. Yeah, you'd had to been there. It was hilarious. But to the point, we weren't poking fun at anyone. We just went out as two actors and performed this little thing just for the fun. It was hilarious. Still, I got a couple of pictures of it. They're probably on my Facebook page, actually. And I mean, I shaved my arms. We went all out for this. Well, at least I did, because it was like the biggest joke of all at the time. So, but to the point though, I didn't want to name. I didn't want a name to be tagged on me. Or anybody else. So if that's what you want to do, if that's what you like to do, okie dokie. Why the labels? Why do I have to make a choice as to what to call you? You're my friend, or you're at least an acquaintance. And, we broke bread together. We've had meals, had smoked a joint or did something, we're palled around. All right. So you're gay, male or female, doesn't matter. So why must society have 31 different choices on this? It's because of the chaos they're confusing. They're creating this chaos of categories of things to make choices upon. They're doing this on purpose. Well, McDonald's, is it good to have, small, medium, or large, or extra large, for crying out loud? Why don't you just go big or small? Oh no, got to have 3 different sizes, 4 different sizes now. Oh, you can get the little mini size if you're a senior and you come in for a happy hour or whatever it is, What? Oh yeah, we have just a few fries over here for a quarter. What? They even have a dinky size, a mini size. Oh, just say it. Too many choices. Okay, give me a small French fry. All right, I don't need them anyway. The grease is bad for you, but okay. Choices. What about life choices? Well, what we eat, what we drink, where we live. Now, there are some choices we don't have any choice. And I'm talking about some of the stuff they spray out of the sky. Now, down here in the South, I'm deep in the heart of Dixie with a lot of cotton fields around me. They spray defoliant on the cotton to knock the leaves off, but to keep the cotton on. I have discussed this in the past, but to bring it up, this is cotton season. And the other day when I drove to town, cotton fields on both sides of the road. I couldn't get away from the smell. No road into town could get me without having to breathe the fumes in of what they sprayed from the airplanes and the tractors and all the other different things. I have no choice. I have to breathe this frickin' air. Oh yeah, I could try to move to another place. I done tried all that and I ended up coming right back here. But that's my lot in life. That I'm supposed to be here for a reason. I get that now, but my point is I have tried to move. And it's really wonderful in different areas. But then when I look at the reality of if I had moved there, them folks got earthquakes now. And even one of the towns I lived in I wanted to live in had a tornado, took out the section of town. Oh my God, the house I wanted to buy would have been wiped off the map. It might have been me. Holy shit. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, this really happened. I'm not making this up. So it's like, well, see, that's why we brought your ass back down here to South Georgia. Yeah, but I got to put up with all those pollutants. Well, yeah, well, so do they. They got pollutants in this area of the country, and they're getting heavily dosed with these sprays, and these folks are getting this. And I guess it's pretty bad all over in a lot of ways as far as those types of things. So, okay, I got to put up with cotton season, a couple of months in the fall. Is it year round? No. Do I kick and pitch a bitch every fall, when they do it? And what's humorous is, and I was discussing this with my dear friend the other day, RR, I said, have you noticed that when cotton season came in and the cotton started to bloom, the rain stopped? I mean, the clouds still come in. It was so cloudy. I was like, you could smell the rain. Not a drop fell. Not anywhere around here. Everything was dry. I mean, it went from we were having a shower once or twice a week to zero, nothing, not even a heavy dew. So we were discussing it, him being a landscape artist and so forth. And I said, you notice? He goes, yeah, it's peculiar. He said, every year about this time, it just dries up. And I said, we can laugh all we want to, but the weather modification folk, there are millions of dollars in cotton and products in the ground right now. And if the cotton gets too wet, it will bring us a lower price. You don't think they'd shut off the water for a couple of months down here to harvest the cotton and to defoliate? Well, I got a really happy birthday present the other day. It rained, and I mean, it rained like an inch for about an hour or so. I mean, it came down so hard, I had problems seeing across the yard out there that had been freshly mowed. I thank you, RR. But to the point, I was like, where did this rain come from? And I had said a prayer for my birthday. I wish we'd get a rain, because every year around my birthday, it's the beginning of fall. Rain will like take the dust out of the air. And usually this time of year, it also brings in cooler temperatures in the evening. There's just, it's fall. And I like it for that reason. And so I was remarking to my friend, I said, when was the last time we had any rain in September or October, other than like a light shower, maybe? And he was like, it's usually dry from the end of August all the way into December. They plan on it because that's cotton season down here. Now, can I prove it? No, but it damn sure is a coinky dink. And I mean, this has been going on for a long time. I've been bitching about this. But so to the point, though, I was like, I found it odd that it rained and how much it rained. And there weren't any clouds. There's no disturbance. There's no low out in the Gulf or in the Atlantic. It rained. Whoa. So with that rain note, I had to make some choices. There were things I was doing. I was getting ready to put in a little piece of a garden. And I was literally beating the crap out of this Georgia clay because it got so hard. The little tiller thingy that I have wouldn't even touch it. It just skipped across the top like it was cement, and I'm like, crap. A little bit of rain would soften it up. It rained. It's soft. Now I can go out and plant my garden. I'm like, I don't know who was listening, but thank you very much. So now, from what happened the other day to where I couldn't break the soil, I mean, literally hurt myself trying to dig up this little spot to try to finish a project, like to ran my poor little tiller thingy to death trying to go through the clay. Now I go out there and I sink that far in the dirt because it's loosened up because of the rain. Now my choices have changed. That's where I was headed with this. My choice is now I don't have to spend all that time in just one small area. The ground is so soft now. The choice is I can go out and make 2 or 3 rows. Now I can go out there because the ground is soft. My choice has changed because of my circumstance. That's where I'm headed with this. Why the rain? What's the story about? It's important in that every single day, sometimes somebody will pull in front of you. You got to hit the brakes. You got to make choices on the fly. We get that. Those are life-changing choices. Should I go out while the grass and while the ground is soft and do that little bit of digging I need? You bet your butt. In fact, it's cool enough out there now. I'm going to go turn on a light and I'm going to do some midnight digging because it's cool. Its air is fresh. It rained again today, by the way. So I'm going to take advantage of it. I probably won't be able to walk around tomorrow, but I'm going to get it done, And I say the good Lord gave me rain. I mean, we haven't had rain in September, and I can't remember when. This is like, seriously, this is 2018. And I got records going back in my own personal data log to 2001. No rain in September. I mean, like 0. So anyway, interesting. So things are changing. Now I have a different choice to make. 2 days ago, when the ground was hard, I was like, I want to finish this project, but the ground's so hard. What am I going to do? The water and the thing and yada, yada. Now, because of circumstances, I have different choices to the good. But that could have been the other way when I went out to dig, when I had the energy and so forth. My choice was the ground was so hard, I can't do this squat. Oh my God, I gotta come up with something else. Well, thank you, it rained. And now I can go back. But to the point, you see what I'm saying? So every single day, every day, every hour, depending on life and what your circumstances are, you're going to be faced with choices. So instead of having to go out and get a pickaxe and rent a hydraulic jack to get through the clay out there, I can now just push my shovel in and it digs really easy. My choices have changed. Now I could go do this thing, or I could go, oh, it's nice and soft, or I could make an excuse and go, well, it's too soft. I can't dig it. Choices. What choices do you make in life? What choices come up for you every day? Well, it's hard today. It was. I mean, I busted my butt the other day, literally. And now, just after a good rain, my choices have changed. Now, it could have been the other way around. It could have not rained, and I would have had to go dig that crap up even harder with a pickaxe. And I do mean a pickaxe. And it's South Georgia clay, when it's hard, is just as hard as concrete, or worse, sometimes, I swear. But to the point, though, life gives us choices, sometimes on the fly. If we're making choices that are mundane and really doesn't have anything to do with reality, get a cup of coffee. Who gives a crap what flavor? I mean, get over it. But oh, I don't know. How much time are you wasting in your life? How much energy is going into that little screen up there and so forth about what choice you're making of coffee, when there are other things that are more important? That you should have your own energy and your own focus. They're stealing our energy by these extra choices. They're stealing our souls, because instead of thinking and being in ourself, staying in the heart consciousness at all times, we have frivolous choices to make. I mean, even myself, as much as I try to skim things down, but when you look at the grand scheme of things for other people, I mean, folks with cell phones. Ooh, an app came up. Ooh, I realized I spent so much time with my damn cell phone. I unplugged it, took the battery out and the SIM card, and said, I can't believe it. Yeah, I'm retired and I got time, but I was spending 4 to 5 hours a day on different things. Ooh, this is interesting. Ooh, look at this. Ooh, okay, Google. Ooh. It stole my soul. It stole my energy. It was giving me so many choices. Oh, hit this in return. Oh, click on that. Oh, shove this. Oh, to the side. Oh, but those are all choices you have to make. So I'm sitting here and I can listen to a YouTube video, or I can click through or something. But I make my choice and I hit play. Okay, I listen or I watch. But folks with cell phones and the constant flipping, you're constantly making choices. You got to do the thing to flip the thing up. You got to work the mouse so it goes across the thingy, which I just did here. It's choices. What choice is the choice of value to you? Is flipping the screen up and down on your cell phone side to side and, oh, look at this, and how important is that? It might be very important. You're showing your pictures of your grandkids, but a lot of the stuff I see is all frivolity. It's all stuff that we're just, well, because we have the choice. I can take this picture, or I can take a selfie and I can send to 1,000 friends. Yes, you can, but should you? Is it important that you send another selfie to all 1,000 of your friends again? I mean, I'm just saying. We were so intrigued with our choices that we have. Well, I can do this if I want. Sure, you can. But should you? Should you stick your tongue out and go, I mean, all right. So I got to bring it up because it is something that a lot of people are simply not aware of. And they're doing it because they have been taught to. Here's your cell phone. This is what you do. Oh, you slide like this and you go like, oh, that's not real hard. But your brain's still making the choice. It has to go to the finger, do the thing. Your brain's making a choice. And you say, well, that's not doing anything. Well, then quit doing it. You can't. Most people can't. And I'm worried for you and I pray for you continuously. I hope you get it. I hope that, I'm not saying throw your phone away, burn it, blah. Nope. I'm just saying pay attention to what they're doing to you. Pay attention with all the choices that you have. Well, yes, I can. But should you? Is it important that you do? Well, it says here that I got to do this thing really quick or I got 10 seconds to enter. Done it. Wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. Somebody said something snarky and I just feel like I have to make a remark. Well, okay. Make a remark, but do you have to put it in print and send it out to 1,000 people and retweet the thing or whatever? I'm just saying, do you have to? Yes, you have the choice, but do you have to? Do you have to make a snarky ass remark to try to top the last snarky ass remark somebody else made? I mean, what is this? This is competition and snarkiness? Yeah. Memes. Ooh, I'm going to make a meme. Everybody's going to retweet this. Makes me popular. Oh, look at me. I retweeted this and people liked what I tweeted. And ooh, I'm now on the friends list. I now have choices. Yeah, sure. But what was your reason for that? What was the purpose that you did that? Was there any particular reason except, ooh, look at me? Just asking. And the next question then, how important is this to you in your life? And spiritually, it ain't got squat to do with your spirituality. In fact, these devices are stealing our energy because they're stealing our focus. They're making more choices than we require. We don't need all these stupid choices. Just pick one, go for it. So the energy you spend on choosing, the energy you spend on thinking about choosing, well, should I go down this road or not? Well, I haven't been down it. I did this going into town the other day. Well, instead of just going into town, I was like, well, I haven't gone this way in a while, which I was like sort of on a sightseeing trip anyway. I had time. Okay, turn left. Then I realized, well, that was stupid. I didn't really need to go this way, but for 2 miles down the road, I was going through this thing in my head about which road to take into town. Well, there's a place I go this way, and I go, okay, fine. But for 2 or 3 miles in my head, I'm like, well, I'll go this way. Well, what about this one? And I ran this thing through my head, as I have done so many times before. And I thought to myself, I just busted out laughing, thinking, oh my God, just pick one. They both go to town. It's not like there was traffic. I had to pick one. But in my own head, I had to make up the choice. And I went through all this, 5 minutes worth of thinking about which choice I should make. But in the long run, I was like, okay, off I go. And then after I turned, I went, maybe I should have went the other way. It was so silly that I literally busted out laughing. I was like, now this is a paradox 101. This is like, talk about the matrix melting around you kind of thing. And I'm like, I try to be aware of certain things. Not, some people think, well, that was just plumb ass silly, Dave. Yeah. But the thing is that I'm looking at this silliness and I'm going, but you do it too. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yeah, you do. You stand in front and think, what drink do I want? I want a big Pepsi, small Pepsi, or do I want I'll get a fountain drink. Just go into a store and watch people, Don't be creepy about it, but just watch people's behavior and what they do about choosing and, how many different kinds of cereals. I'm one of them. I want to know what's in these certain things. But then when I find out, I'm like, okay, when I go to the store now, it's like, that one's good. That one's good. That one's good. This one's good. And I'm out of the damn store. I still like to shop, but I have no money. But to the point. Because of all the freaking choices. Ooh, look, I didn't know they made that. Oh, am I going to buy it? Well, shit, no, I don't have the money. $10. Shit, but it's cool. Oh, another choice. So Walmart was the store of choices, and all these things, and blah, blah. But to the point, though, they're all a distraction. Say what you will. It's all a distraction. Every damn bit of it is to swipe your energy. Whether the person who did the advertising seriously was like satanic and was doing it on purpose, no, I don't think that every advertiser is full of Satan, no. But the people who created the standards for some of these commercial-y things, the flashing lights, the twirly this, they know that those will trigger certain brain patterns. They know, and they made it the industry standard. So now even YouTube video folks are doing the flashing lights and the same thing that the bad guys are doing to us, because now it's cool. Now you can do it on your own computer. You have the choice to make flashing lights and things go buzz and clicky clicky and ooh, isn't that cute? No, those are what the devil folks did to create patterns in our eyes. And because now it's socially acceptable and they did it to you and you think it's cool, now you do it on your YouTube videos when it really isn't necessary. I fast forward through that junk because of the flashing lights. But people think, oh, it's cool. But now, have you gone down that rabbit hole about what those flashing lights mean? You've made the choice to put that in your video. But you know what the consequences are. Do you know what the ramifications are? Do you know why they do flashing lights and quick pictures? If you studied it, you wouldn't do it. And you wouldn't watch somebody that does. I have bitched and complained people out on YouTube videos in a nice way. That minute and a half flashy light thing at the beginning of your video is unnecessary. And, do you know what it causes? And I've been told that I must be a troll and that I must be, these are conspiracy nuts telling me I'm a conspiracy nut. When in the 50s in television, they made rules. You can't do subliminal messages in the television. Little 1 second, little flippy flips. Now they can do 60 frames per second. So they can flip 60 different images into your brain now with HDMI. And you can't catch it. The eye sees it, it gets imprinted. OMG. So people, now it's the normal. So now everybody's doing it. So now you've taken what the creators did in the 50s to trick you into these mind control of buying things and all this. And now you've tripled it. Instead of 1 second, 1 frame, 1 second, which you could sometimes catch in the old movie thingies, commercials. Now you get 60 of them in 1 second. They give you 60 chances to hit your brain with lights and colors and images. You ain't got a clue. And to most people, they say, Dave, you're full of shit. Hawkeye, that's just nonsense. And I say, okay. So can you turn off your phone? Can you turn it off completely? Unplug the damn thing. No, you go into cold sweats. And you tell me I'm the one that's kooky. Pay attention. This is what it's all about. It's my job to bring you the dumbest shit in the world for you to pay attention to. Did you know this? No. Does it matter? Yes, it does. It matters a great deal, but you're not aware of it because your focus is over here. Your choices that your brain is constantly having to make is over here. Your spirituality of being able to stay in the quantum at all times is being pulled off over here. Whoop, wait, I got to make a choice. Ding. Whoop, I got to do this. Got to make a choice. Ding. Whoop. So that you lose your focus. Now, I say this in the utmost of respect for folks because, listen, I had to live life too. I was an engineer. I worked 10, 12 hours every single day, 5, 6 days a week, for years. Okay, 7, 8, 9 years. I mean, I really put it in there. I get it. But now that I'm retired, I can, well, it's easy for me to say, right? But here's the point though. I realized what these things did to me. And I realized while I was doing it that I would not play certain musics or things because I made a choice at the end of my tenure as an engineer to change things. And the results were phenomenal. When I started out early and on with this, working for a particular company, things were rough all the time. And I learned from my mistakes. I, quote, practiced. I practiced speaking with people, trying different tones of voice, different things, different distractions, and I learned from it all. And then I spoke about this, but there were two different plants. And, there was like 400,000 square feet of space. 400,000 square feet of manufacturing. Okay. And I was in charge of the floors, the layout, the machines, the position of the machines, all of the CAD work, all of the drawings. It was my responsibility. Almost 800 people worked there, 3 shifts, almost 24/7. A lot of times there was somebody there, especially during peak times. But at the end, when I left, about 600 of those people gave me a going away party. First shift and second shift. They spent time out, took time out to devote so they could have their lunch period, which is normally 30 minutes, convinced all the supervisors to go along with them. And there were hundreds of people giving me well wishes when I lost my job. Some of them are still very good friends of mine. To the point, though, if that had been a few years earlier, some of these people wanted to tar and feather me. I learned what the distractions were, and I put my focus into what was important. The last thing I expected was 600 people giving me going away. I mean, I had cakes and pies and, it was lovely and it was sad at the same time. Did I learn anything from that? Yes. Respect other people and they will respect you beyond your wildest imaginations. When I took away the distractions from my life so that I could focus on making this thing work, I got the reward of some 600 people. I mean, they literally worked overtime off the clock so that they could build up stock so they could take the hour that, it was phenomenal what these people did for me just to say goodbye and have an hour lunchtime. Unbelievable. So when folks ask me, well, Dave, how do you know? Well, but this is it. This is how I know. I have to tell part of my own story because this is how I learned these things. This is how I learned that distractions take your focus off what's important. The spirit is important. I was distracted by all these people calling these things, that thing. And when I stopped being distracted, I realized, hey, when I showed respect, love for my fellow coworker, regardless of their station, whether they were the janitor or whether they were a supervisor, everyone got treated special for me because I considered every one of them to be special human beings. I wasn't making it up. They saw it in reality and reacted such. So when you practice this, when you take all the frivolous stuff, you go in the store and you go, well, I got a bunch of choices. Wait, hang on. Wait. What am I really in the store for? I need milk and I need and a can of dog food. Okay, fine. Let me go get that. Something caught my eye along the way. Okay, fine. We get sucked into it. We do. We don't even know. We're not even aware that these things are happening. So it's my job to say, y'all, you've got too many choices to make in your life right now. Just look, I don't have to tell you, I don't live in your shoes, but I know simply because of life in general, you're presented with a crap load of decisions all the time. My point to you is pick out which ones are the important ones. And when you start focusing on the important things, you'll realize, well, I'm wasting a lot of time. I went through this thing. 30 minutes went by and I was just crapping out on my cell phone. I could have been doing something. I could have been meditating for 30 minutes and raising my vibrations. Instead, I spent 30 minutes going through crappy apps on my phone, which sucked the life out of me versus raise my vibration. I love you all. I do. I got to talk about these hard subjects because they're hard subjects to talk about. And when I look around in different places and things and folks and whatever, I don't see folks talking about what I talk about, at least not in the way that I do. Not that I'm the best. That's not my point. I'm just saying that the conversation doesn't come up. No one's having this conversation. And it's like, hang on, we should be having this conversation because you don't know that's happening to you. I sit back here in my little old life as a hermit and I think to myself, oh my God, when I go out into the real world and society hits me with all these freaking choices, I think to myself, wait a minute, I just want a hamburger with cheese and lettuce, tomato, and onion on it, okay? What about it? Okay, put it on a bun. Cut it out, will you? Well, what about this one? What? Hamburger, cheese, lettuce and tomato, onion, mayonnaise, and some mustard. Hold the ketchup. All right. Can you do that for me? Put it on a bun. Put it between two pieces of rye bread. I don't care. All right. People are being sucked into this. So you want to get out of it? Understand that some of these choices are part of the matrix, if you will. It's not really real. Well, which app should I choose? It's stupid. It's stupid. You're wasting your time looking down at the screen on this thing when maybe there's something more important. But if your life is, well, this is what's important to me, is a cell phone right here. I want this app. I'm going to stay here and do this little thingy with I will continue to pray for you. I will continue to pray that cell phone will just melt and go away and that you'll get oh my God, I don't need this thing. But, I really don't pray that. I don't. But it's not a bad idea, But I do pray for folks. Please, please, please look inside yourself at the choices you're making all the time. And when you think, well, I didn't make any big choices. Yeah, you did. You went to the store and you wandered around trying to figure out what chips you wanted to buy. Did you need the damn things anyway? Well, I got the munchies. Well, okay, so we'll go home and fix yourself a sandwich. I mean, we have so many different choices that many of us have the opportunity to change in our days or our weeks at least, or month or year. Maybe some of these changes are some of the choices that you make, they're really huge ones. My point, though, is that in this current now, where we are in this world reality now, the choices that are being pushed upon us by society, religions, you name it. Pick a topic. The choices they are trying to give us is more chaos and confusion. Because the more choices we have, the more our brain is scattered. Oh my God, which one should I pick? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my, it's daunting. And for folks who are like having issues anyway of like trying to pay attention, that their whole day is lost in that. I mean, okay, pick a blonde joke, That's basically what it is. It's turned folks into dumb blondes. And I love you all dumb blondes, but to the point though, and the smart ones too. But to the point though is that, wait a minute, it's happening to you without your knowledge. You're not even aware. And I'm pausing on purpose. Are you aware? Did this conversation did it have any merit whatsoever? Did it click inside your head to say, oh shit, some of the choices I made today were just plumb stupid. Now for me, okay, Netflix sent me an email. Ooh, something new on Netflix. So I realized I had spent 15 minutes going through the choices, trying to find something that I liked, trying to find something that was like, well, then I stopped and I turned the damn television off and went, I just spent 15 minutes looking for choices because there are 1,000 choices. I couldn't find anything that appealed to me, but I spent 15 minutes on choices. Thus, this video. So it's still happening to me. I'm like, well, what do I want to watch? Click, 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 click. Okay, Hulu. Click, click, click. Okay, this one. Click, click, click. Can't find anything. Why don't I just turn the damn thing off maybe and listen to the radio or put on some tunes? I have other choices. But at the time, my brain said, oh, Netflix, let's see what's on. 20 minutes later, still looking for choices. Could I have done something else? My point is, they got me. They got me with too many choices. When I could have said, well, there's 4 new movies, that's okay. No, they made me go through 100 different choices to find out that there wasn't any choices that appealed to me. Got me again. And I'm trying to pay attention, and I'll probably do it again later on, probably tomorrow, maybe this morning. Who knows? I'll go, well, I wonder if there's something on, and I'll spend 10 more minutes looking for something because I have so many choices. And sometimes what I choose is like an old McHale's Navy from the early 60s, when they were still in black and white. Or I've been watching the old versions of the Addams Family. Hilarious. I had no idea that they had 65 episodes. Well, they were only on 2 years, but they did 30 episodes a year. Holy crap. Now the season, if you get a series, they do 10, maybe 12. In the old days, they did a half a year. There's 52 weeks in a year. There were 20 some odd episodes, whether it be an hour or half an hour. If the half hour, sometimes they would do an extra 10 or so. There were 30 episodes. So I'm watching old McHale's Navy, laughing my ass off at Tim Conway and going, oh my God. And some of this new stuff isn't even funny to me. It's like, wow, the gag didn't work. They had to cuss to try to make it funny. And it's like, I've listened to motherfucker, dirty talk isn't funny. And saying the word shit doesn't make it funny. I mean, what is funny is when somebody says caca or poo or poo-poo or they stinky. I mean, there's so many different ways to make shit funny without saying the word. But people are like, well, I'm just going to say it because I can. That's your choice. But you also have a choice of language to pick another word to try to describe what you're doing. But anyway, I know I'm digressing, going around in circles with this. But to the choices, there are a myriad of things that are going on. And if you at least understand, oh, that's one of them stupid choices they want me to make. I got you. See, and I look at it as a game. Holy crap, they got me on that one. Son of a bitch. And I just go, all right, I can stand here and look at this menu for the next 20 minutes. And the person behind the counter don't care. They're getting paid. I'm wasting my own time. Does it matter? It's up to you. What matters is, are they stealing our souls? Are they stealing our core energy? That's my point. They're taking us off of our task. They're taking away from us who we are by all of these distractions, by all of these myriad of idiotic choices they want us to make on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes we create these choices ourselves. Sometimes we, like me, and which road do I choose to go into? Who cares? Either one got me there. But I literally spent 5 minutes thinking about which road. I mean, of course, now I had nothing better to do, and it was a fun exercise. But to the point, I remembered in times past, I would spend hours trying to figure out a route to somewhere or something, because my brain needed something to do. I wasted my own time when I could have been thinking in a prayer, or I could have been more in a positive nature, or I could have done something else with that energy. It's not that it was just stupid. Why did I spend all that time on that? It wasn't necessary. I could have been saying prayers to the universe. I could have been spending more time in the spiritual realm of just awareness instead of the, oh my God, which way should I go? Oh, is that road too rough? Just go and take what life gives you when you get there. Be prepared. Leave 5 minutes early in case. Now, does it matter? I mean, you know what? I'm going to take this parkway. Sure, make a decision. My point is, are you going to spend all day doing it? That energy is wasted. Okay, a way to work is one thing. What's on an app or on your computer hand thingy that you got to continuously flip through? That is another story. That is what I ask you to look at your own life, make your own decision. I'm not condemning anyone, I promise you. I know that it is a disease of the mind. It is a disease of society that puts us there. Okay. So I bring this conversation up to see if whether or not you're paying attention, class. And I joke, I kid, I really do. But I do. I worry that folks are just, their energy's being stolen and for the wrong reason. If it was being swiped to like help poor kids or something or help healing, but it's not. It's being used in a negative way against the rest of us. So when we understand these things and can stay more in the positive, if you're not being distracted over here by making asshole decisions about some stupid application on a cell phone, you need help with this. You need help in understanding that your energy is being stolen. Please keep your own energy. Share it when you need to, but don't share it with a dumb device that doesn't care or that might steal your energy for its own AI purposes. Keep it to yourself or share it where you wish to choose. You make the choice where you want to send your heart energy. Don't let a device swipe it from you. Okay? So I love you all. Got a cramp in my butt. Got to stand up. So, and, old age, got to go pee. It's been an hour and a half. So much love to you all. And it says there's 3 people on here, but there's nobody in the chat. So if you've been putting things in the chat room, it ain't showing up. But YouTube's been acting weird again. So in case you have put something in the chat room, there's nothing there. So if you put something and said hi to me and you're there and made comments, I apologize. Ain't nothing showing up. Okay. So, but I still love you. I still send all my love from my heart, soul, and my soul's heart to all of you. Be careful what you do. Understand that there are nefarious things out there that are trying to swipe your energies. Keep them to yourself and use them as you see fit. Make the right choice. So with that said, adios. Time to go hit the bathroom. And